All right, what's going on YouTube? Now let's talk about where re-election really affects the president's spot in history, because we know that campaigning can take away from abilities. If you get a good campaigner that says anything people want to hear, they can get themselves re-elected and elected in anything. Because you understand that politically, every political party has their support group that will automatically vote within that party in a lot of cases. And a lot of people are straight ticket here, so we understand the election dilemma. Like, we understand that a far-right president will represent 30% of the population because a lot of Republicans tend to be far-right, and a lot of Democrats tend to be on all elements of the spectrum. And then you got to remember that when it comes to elements of politics, you understand that elections can be very hairy subjects, where a person you may think is going to get elected doesn't get elected, or a person you may think is going to get reelected doesn't. It can be like that. So more importantly, Winston Churchill and TR are perfect examples of how it's BS to say that re-election and election make the biggest effect on the legacy, because you know that TR had quite a legacy. He was a powerful leader. He was a dynamic person. He was a brilliant politician, but he was absolutely creative beyond the scope. And he could compromise, but he did some very, very important stuff. He was a Republican that broke ranks with his own party and said, no, I'm going to push strict regulations on safety and all the stuff that was just unprecedented. And he did all this stuff for the environment. So they booted him out of the party and pushed him, and put Taft in there. And Taft took over in the primaries and basically was nominated. He wasn't going to be nominated as party because they said, oh, you're a third-party person. This isn't what we do. And so I personally prefer third-party presidents because they address issues that aren't being addressed and start doing the stuff that is, the controversial, whereas everybody else has their limits. And you understand that, like, Winston Churchill lost to the Labor guy when he went for re-election, but he was a great wartime leader that forgave him for this. Now, Jimmy Carter, on the other hand, him and Reagan, there was a land sweep, cat sweep, really. Reagan took all the cats from that battle. And they both basically went up against each other. And although Jimmy Carter had a good environmental policy, he did not have good ways of getting his party and people in his own party even to work with them. So he didn't get himself reelected. He wasn't very effective, which is the part of where they have the background in Congress and government and understanding how things work. And then you got to remember that there's other people who've been elected multiple times or 2 times or reelected in a lot of cases in places that have not had talent. They just knew how to campaign. Now, you understand that re-election puts FDR at the top of the list, but it's not the re-election thing. It's because of his crisis leadership and because he leads the country through 2 crises. So the Roosevelts are a dynamic, diverse political family. They have all different political views. They're not people with one, party in the family. And the thing about it is, you understand that re-election can be forgiven if a person's the better leader, but they make the unpopular decisions. Like Bush Sr. didn't remove Saddam, and he raised the taxes, which got Clinton to take over. Clinton compromised, and he was able to campaign to get reelected, but his moral integrity and, certain elements of his presidency are not up to the par of your old, near great presidents, you understand. It's hard to be a very good president. And so a lot of people can campaign, but basically you got to understand that it's the way they campaign and what they really have that make the effect. Because Nixon is not known as a great president. He got reelected. So we understand this. So I hope this video helps.